HaKadosh Boker Or Masechet Bava Metzia Daf Nun Amud Aleph. We were speaking about right now that who was the one that had the unah done to them. You remember there was going to be a difference between the mocher and the lokeach. The lokeach had whether it's going to be the full day according to Rabbi Tarfon, or he had until he was able to show it to a family member or tagar. But if it's going to be the mocher, so that you could always retract, correct? And yada mocher is going to be on the lionabas. He could just say, "Give me back the mekach, and I'm going to give you back the money," or just give me that difference of the ona'ah. Ibayelehu. So this is where we are starting. We're starting 3 lines down. Ibayelehu, right? Dafnuna mudale 58, 3 lines down. Ibayelehu. So they had a doubt. Pachot nishtut lerabbanan. If it's going to be less than a shtut. So remember, a shtut is 1/6, which I think is around 17%. So if it's going to be less than that, according to the Rabbanan, lealtar havya mechila, right? Do we say that it's mechila immediately? And therefore, even if he wants to retract, right? Even if it retracts, right? It's going to be also the same halacha. Or or still the same halacha. Is it that when you go back and you're able to show it to a tagar or a karov? Remember, a tagar is a salesman or a karov. Now, if you're going to tell me right, that it's enough in order to show the tagar or the karov, what's the difference between a shtut and less than a shtut? Right? So says the Gemara, Ika di'ilu shtut yadol elionah. Ratza chozer, ratza koneh umachzir onah. Ilu pachot mishtut, kana umachzir onah. My. Which means like this. If it's going to be less than onah, do we just say, okay, fine. So therefore, he acquires it and he just has to give back the onah, but he cannot retract on the sale. Or do we say that when we're talking about that if it's already going to be more than a shtut, so then you can even retract on the sale and you can get your money back. You can completely retract. Okay? So Tashema, we're going to try to bring a proof. Chazru ledivre chachamim, they retracted on the words of the chachamim. Savru, and they thought, pachot mishlish l'Rabbi Tarfon, if it's going to be less than a third to Rabbi Tarfon, because remember, according to Rabbi Tarfon, it wasn't a 1/6, it was a third. Is kipachot mishtut l'Rabbanan dami. It's like less than a shtut for the Rabbanan. Now, iyam abishama, if you're going to tell me now, less than a shtut for the Rabbanan, right, is going to be bichtei shira letagar l'krovo, is going to be that you're able to show it, whether it's to a tagar or to a karov. Rabbi Tarfon, according to Shitat Rabbi Tarfon, it's going to be kol hayom, the entire day. Mishum hachi chazru, so therefore they retracted, right? It makes sense why they retracted. Okay, fine. But he says, Elayam, but if you're going to tell me now, pachot mishtut l'Rabbanan, the less than a shtut for the Rabbanan is lealtar havya mechila. It's considered mechila immediately, right? Nuna mubet 50b. Rabbi Tarfon nami, and to Rabbi Tarfon also. Yeah, Rabbi Tarfon also lealtar havya mechila. It's going to be considered mechila. Amay chazru. Why did they retract it? It's going to be even better. Whatever the rabbi says onah, according to Rabbi Tarfon, is mechila. Because remember, Rabbi Tarfon doesn't say a third, he says a 6, he says a third. So says the Gemara, Mi Sabra, do you think that less than a third to Rabbi Tarfon is like less than a 6 for Rabbanan? No. From a 6 to a third to Rabbi Tarfon is like shtut itself to the Rabbanan. Okay? Because Yada mitaneh aliyonah, which means the bitafon does not argue on the Rabbanan to say that it's not ona'ah, but he just adds that until from a 6 to a third, there's no bitul mekach. That's what he's just adding. But there is ona'ah, meaning it is ona'ah. He does agree to that. But he's just saying that there's no bitul mekach. Remember, bitul mekach means that you annul the sale. You could completely retract on the purchase. Okay? Fine. So says the Gemara, if so, with what exactly are they going to be smechim from the beginning? Just say that bitul mekach for the rabbis always goes back. But since Rabbi Tarfon says it is considered onah, samchu, they were happy. So when he told them kol hayom, the entire day chazru, so then they retracted. But if you're going to tell me now the bitul mekach l'Rabbanan, were they happy? You remember there was a difference. How long do you have in order to retract? Do you have the entire day, which obviously Baruch Hashem gives you a lot of time, or do you have enough time to show it to a family member or to a tagar? Tagar is like a salesman. That means he understands what you're doing exactly. So if you're going to tell me it's only until you have the family member, so it's nothing. Imagine you just bought something. You have whatever it is, let's say even an hour, right, to go that you had enough time to show it to a family member or to a thing, and then Kaddish, forever hold your peace. If you're going to tell me it's the entire day, you owe a long time. In a sense, so obviously, they were happy when they thought that they had the entire day in order to retract on the sale. That's what they thought. Until finally they said, no, we're not happy with that anymore, because, if you're only going to tell me that it's only going to be shtut much more, so then what does that help us? So samchu b'shtut atzma. They were happy with the shtut in itself, that according to Shitat Rabbi Tarfon, mechila. And according to Shitat Rabbanan, it is ona'ah. Okay? Which means that the Yad HaLokeach is always going to be on the Elyonah until he's able to show it to a Tagar or to a Karov. And that which we said from a sixth to a third will be Tarfon, it's going to be a Shtut, right? It's not going to include the Shtut itself, just like what he thought, but rather more than a Shtut until a third, but the Shtut itself, there is Mechila Le'alta. Okay? Fine. Ibai lehu. We asked the question. Bitul mekach l'rabbanan le'olam chozer, or dilma bichte shireh le'tagar le'krovo. We were talking about now the shtut you have until you're showing to a family member or to a tagar. What about if it's going to be more than a shtut, which means that it's bitul mekach? It's completely annulled. So I came and I sold you a cup, right? Instead of whatever it is, $1 for the cup, I'm going to sell it to you for $10. Yeah? So now the question is, what happens now? Okay, what happens now? By the way, that's why everyone gets together. For example, nowadays, right, when a caterer comes and he starts charging you, right, the prices that he charges you, that's not a shtut. That's I don't know what. You understand? That's a triple the price than what it really costs you, right? But since all the caterers ganged up together to charge you the same price, so therefore they could charge you that, because that now became the market price, even though it's 10 times the amount of what they're actually paying. But they're going to tell you, no, but we have to pay workers and we have to pay this. It's just very simple. They want to work less and make more money. Yeah. So therefore, they're able to do it. And they see it, whether it's by cars, whether it's by... So people are doing that. They want to make more and work less. That's the new concept, right? So therefore, what happens is that it's problematic. You understand? Very problematic. Fine. So says the Gemara, according to Bitul Mekach, according to Rabbanan, is it Leolam Chozer, or maybe it's only also until you're going to show it to a Tagaro Karov. V'imtin Solomar, now if you're going to tell me Tagaro Karov, that it's only until you're going to show it to a Tagaro Karov. Maika, what's the difference between Shtut or more than a Shtut? Right? Because he says a Shtut, the one could retract. But if it's more than a Shtut, both of them could retract. So what's the difference then? What's halacha then? So Tashema, Chazru l'divrei chachamim. What does that mean? They retracted to the rabbis. When the people heard about Rabbi Tarfon, they were happy, right? That you had all day to retract. But once they heard that it was until the third instead of a sixth, then they went back. So he says, and according to Rabbanan, it's the entire day because of that they retracted. But if you're going to tell me between Mekach Rabbanan and always retracts, right? So therefore, why do they retract to go back to like Chachamim? But the Rabbi Tarfon is much better. It's only the entire day and that's it. So answers the Gemara, bitul mekach lo shchiach. It's not common. Meaning to overcharge more than 16, 17% is not common. And therefore, that's why he says it's not. People could charge you until a certain amount, but it's not, nowadays the profit margin is obviously much more. Amar Rava. Rava comes and he says, Hilchata. The psak halacha is pachot mishtut. Niknea mekach. If it's going to be less than a shtut, it's going to be acquired. More than a shtut, it's going to be batela mekach. Shtut is going to be kana or machzir. Right? Right? And then he's going to get back to onav. So that's halacha l'maaseh, by the way. This is the halacha. One more time. Less than a shtut, right? Everything is fine. He cannot do anything. So he's less than 16 point whatever, 17%, let's say, nada. You can't do anything about it. If it's exactly a shtut, you acquire it, but then you give back the shtut. But if it's going to be more than a shtut, so then you could retract on the entire sale. It's going to be batel mekach, right? Which one? You made the chart. I didn't even see the chart. Ah, okay. Exactly. Okay, and then what do you do? But you only have the time to show it to a tagar or a karov. Okay? The Tana Kavated the Rava, we also learned the bright and according to Rava, Beonav, it's going to be less than a shtut nikna mekach, more than a shtut batela mekach, shtut is going to be kana machzir, ona'ah. These are the words of Rabbi Natan. If you don't see Omer, yada mocher al yonah, it's always going to be on the upper hand. If you want, you could give it back, right? You could say, give me back the mekach, or give me back that which I had the ona'ah. And again, you only have the time to show it to a tagar or a karov. Meaning this concept of showing it the entire day doesn't exist. Okay, but that's like Rabbi Tarfon. We don't pass like Rabbi Tarfon. Okay, fine. 2 dots on the bottom of Nun Amud Bet. Ad matay mutar lachzir. Until when are you allowed to give it back? We said until you show it to a tagar or your family member. So Amar Rav Nachman lo shanu ala lokeach. We're talking about the lokeach, but the mocher could always retract. So we already learned this yesterday. So Neima Misraele, why don't we say that this actually helps? To chazru l'dvei chachamim, they retracted the words of the chachamim. If you're going to tell me now that the seller will always retract, because of that, they could always retract. But if you're going to tell me now that the mocher is also going to be like the lokeach, what's the nafkamina? Just like they made a takana for the lokeach, they made a takana for the mocher. So answers the Gemara, Tagare Lul Shchiach the Tau. It's not common that the Tagarim of Lud, since they're very bekim in their schora, so therefore they don't usually make these mistakes. And because of that, that's why they say they retracted, like Shitat Chachamim.